The clown with his pants falling down.
I'm looking forward to getting into your interpretation of Judy Garland, your career, the album, the Juno nomination, all of the good stuff. So let's hop in. Again, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
This is so nice. I've done one interview kind of, and they talked about this a little bit, but this is my first time talking about it. So it's really nice. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the album and all of the good stuff going on, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic changed our lives, changed the world, the way things happen, especially for musicians. How did you get through that era, and how has it influenced the way that you live and create today?
That's such a good question. I was just saying to someone, like, I don't know if anyone's been able to process that time
Right.
yet.
I know.
So you're asking, yeah, a really important question. I think that just like everyone else, it's sort of made me just appreciate how amazing it is to make live music and how desperately people need it. I'm currently music directing for an artist named Beverly Glenn Copeland, and we travel the world. He's like world famous trans artist. He's 82.
Yeah.
And the shows are like intense love fests. I'm talking people are weeping in the first few notes of his singing. His voice is that powerful. His songs are about love and accepting yourself. And he's been writing music for, his whole life. And that's the energy that I want to live in, and it feels vital. Like going to London, we're going to, where are we going next? We're going to the Netherlands, in a month. Like, people need to be in that frequency. And even like this lady in Vancouver who had been working at the Chan Center that we played at for 30 years, she said, man, I've been to many shows, but that show, I was choked up. And this lady was someone who you could tell isn't gonna like come and give you a hug, So that is what feels like we lost that. And so to get to come back and really do it with heart and with purpose and know that it's vital. Yeah, that's what it's taught me. And also that musicians have a role in our society beyond playing the show.
Yeah.
I've been thinking more about this. There's a great director named Peter Sellars that I listen to a lot. He gives lectures and talks, and it's like we go to school and we learn how to listen. We're doing listening exercises, ear training, improv. That is a transferable skill to many different things, to being a friend, to noticing something, like there's just we kind of forget to remind students that, yes, of course they have to play their instrument every day and practice. That's the spiritual work, that like you're in a room alone and you're working through with this instrument. But I think we have to come back to the realization that like when you're in an ensemble, whether it's a quartet or a big band, everyone there is really important. And if one person wasn't there, it'd be a completely different feeling in the room. So just like, yeah, just being together really. And like meditating on that also we use our bodies for our work. It's body driven. And as I get older, I see a lot of friends get injuries, and I've become way more fascinated with the body as the instrument over the years. So anyway, yeah, getting to like live that and really be present and bring community like up to the forefront of my work was that I was already kind of doing that, but pandemic made me be like, whoa, this is really important. Yeah.
So in all of these years, when I talk about Miles Davis, there's all these revelations that come out from cats that have played with him throughout the years. But one time someone told me and this was somebody that played with him for a while. I can't remember who it is. It'll come to me during this interview. But he said the best thing that Miles did was that he listened. Of all of the things that he was about, he was an impeccable listener. And there's stories of him with his famed boombox where he put the tape in, slap it in, and he'd just sit in front of the boombox. And that was the thing about him. He was like the master composer, the master orchestrator, arranger. And we all know him as the trumpet guy, kind of blue, the guy that kind of scowled on stage, played a note, and walked off. But at the end of the day, it's that idea. That's the bedrock of this idiom, is that you have to pay attention. And I think coming from where I'm at behind the microphone, I have learned improv in a way of just being alive on this planet from jazz cats Like the
Yeah.
bird that flies in front of me will never, ever happen again. That bird, the trajectory, the flight, the speed, the way the wind goes, it's going to happen once. And it's like what you do on stage.
Do you play?
No, I play the drums enough to be dangerous, but I have always felt like I want this to be a mystery. This music is my spaceship. It's like
I love
this
that.
outer space orb, and I just want to look into it. I don't want to do it. I just want to just, there's got to be something mysterious. I've delved into too many hard things, my existence. I want music to be just ethereal, cerebral, and visceral. Just wash over me.
I love that. And I love that you own that too, because I think taking pride in that is really special. Because like I have a lot of friends, at this again, I'm 39, and a lot of my friends are now these are like the greatest players I've ever played with. They're leaving music
Yep.
because of whatever, many different reasons, but and they're also brilliant and they can go to law school or they can do coding and they're really good at that. But like you don't have to be doing the music thing, yeah, to love it, to appreciate it, to even be the best player. You don't have to
Right.
make it your career. And so yeah, I love how you just um said that. It was really, yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's why I just love you guys and what you do, and it's that warm analog glow that you get in the beginning, and it just reverberates, and it's the ever expanding universe. Music is the thing that will always continue to evolve and to push. And I gotta say, the subject of your album meets Judy Garland. If there's anything that's synonymous, whenever someone says, "Where are you from?" and I'm like, "Kansas City, Missouri," they're like, "Oh yeah, Wizard of the yeah, the house, the tornado, always."
it. Kansas City, right.
So
Oh, see,
it's
I was thinking everything's up to date in Kansas City. She's gone about as far as it can go. That was in my head when
that
I saw it.
exactly. And then you got Beatles. Like every time the Royals win, they always play. Well, I'm going to Kansas City, and there's a lot of things, but there's some people that are just like, okay, Tornado Alley, all right, but what was it about? I know that you sing her songs. I know you've loved her, but what ultimately impelled you to put this on wax and release it?
Well, so many things. I'm a singer and I've been on a ton of jazz records, but I never made my own jazz record, like as Alex Samaras. And I didn't want it. I remember being in school and even thinking like, I don't want to release a record of standards. That's not I mean, I love standards and I sing tunes. If anyone asks me to do a gig, I'll do it. But I needed it to be something, yeah, a little more carved out. And I basically, as a kid, I discovered Judy Garland through many different people, but I just loved her presence. What you were talking about, so here's actually a really funny story about presence and seeing a bird and noticing. Liza Minnelli, someone asked Liza Minnelli in an interview, this like in the 70s, she's really young. They're like, what do you think you got from your mother? And they were talking, musical ability, talent.
Yep.
But she reframes her answer and she's like, my mother taught me to notice the sky. And she would say, look at that. Like
Yep.
that is a beautiful sunset, whatever. And when I heard her say that, I was like, oh, that's what I love about Judy Garland.
Yep.
It's the presence in the performance. There's nothing else going on in the universe when you're watching her. And as a 6-year-old, I was transfixed, as many queer men are, or just like sensitive people.
Yeah.
And I also, I honestly, before the age of 12, read all of her biographies. Like I just like, there was some thing. And then as I developed, as an artist and through my years, I kind of forgot, I didn't forget about her, but I'm in jazz school, all this other stuff is happening. And then it kind of, in my 20s, I was like, oh, Judy Garland. And then like YouTube was out at that point, and I rediscovered all these videos that I'd had as a kid, but I saw them on YouTube, and I kind of just kept on studying her. I couldn't lose that connection. And then a dear friend of mine named Pablo Kesselman, who unfortunately has passed away, he supported me a lot as an artist, and he always wanted me to make a jazz record. And so he passed away in the beginning of the pandemic, and I just felt like, yeah, I wanted to do something for him. And I also wanted to, in when I ever got to talk about Judy Garland, like right now, to say like she wasn't a tragic figure, you know? She lived with joy, this joy that her daughter mentioned in this quote. And I feel that in her singing. I feel the joy and I feel her life. And there's also a lot of songs that, when people reference Judy Garland, it's always over the rainbow and, the Man That Got Away, which I love The Man That Got Away, and the Trolley Song, but there's all these other songs from her movies and career that are lesser known and
Yeah.
really, I think, her best songs. And so I wanted to do that as well. And I love that about, as you know as well, like there's so many forgotten tunes that
Yeah.
either have only been recorded once, maybe none at all. There's a lot of cut songs from Broadway shows or movies that exist in, weird little avenues now you can find everything. So yeah, it was that reason as well, to just do songs that I wanted to do of hers.
It's interesting, when you get to our age, I'm 53, but when you get over a certain threshold, unfortunately, your friends leave you. It's just a part of living. And,
Exactly.
when you get older, you realize that. And I had a moment last night. I always take my son to indoor soccer games. And last night was retro night, and all these players. We have a really big indoor soccer team in Kansas City, and it was huge in the 80s when I was a kid. It was like the biggest ticket in town, which is weird because it's just not a big deal, but it was here. And they revived it. So, anyway, all these retro people are up, and I happen to get seats up in the suite area, and there's all these people around me. And I'm looking around, and I find the guy that's the biggest player ever, and his name is Gino Giraldi. And I started thinking about my friend from childhood that had a brain aneurysm and passed a few years ago during the pandemic. And I just felt like he was there. I felt like he was there, like, dude, look at this. And I wonder with you, if your friend at any point during this process of this actually happening, you felt the presence and was like, you got the blessing, you felt the spirit right there.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah.
Even before I logged on, I was like, because I don't know how to even talk about this record. It happened kind of organically. As I said, since I was 6 years old. But Pablo, for sure, his spirit is all all over it. And
Everywhere.
yeah, and I think, yeah, I am getting more and more connected to those kind of frequencies, if I'm being honest, just
I,
like, and the last 2 weeks, I kid you not, Joe, I'm texting people, people that I may have been texting a while, and each person's like, I was just thinking of you.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's something, zoom, zoom, there's something happening.
Maybe it just takes enough time for us to be on this planet to maturate like wine, to get our receptors to a point, right? Where we can connect with all these things we can't see and to feel the universe in a certain way.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the beauty of this jazz art form is that there's just thousands of different variations of songs that we can play. I mean, Bill Evans gets covered, Miles gets covered, Judy gets covered. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your unique spin on this. It's your signature sound that's taking on this classic sound. What are you hoping the listener gets from your interpretation of Judy Garland?
well, I mean, obviously the biggest part of the record is Madeline Ertl, who plays trumpet, and Stephen Nerona, who plays piano.
Yeah.
And these are now dear friends of mine. We were playing a lot together a few years ago because Madeline's in her 20s and she writes the most amazing music. Like it's the best music. And she wrote a suite of music for me with chamber orchestra. And so I had been working with her and Stephen on that music, and we'd done a show and done a few things with it. And I just thought, oh, these are such great players. I don't think I'd played jazz with them, like tunes, but I just knew that, like you're saying about Miles, they are listening players before like kind of busy, not even, people don't show off when they're busy, but just like active. And they can do that. But I just felt them as sensitive listening players. And so I wanted to make a little strange combo with the three of us. I don't know, like I don't think that's a normal trio, piano, trumpet, and voice. And so I really wanted people to hear the songs like with a lot of heart and intensity, but not loud. You know? It's like in a way it could be like smooth dinner jazz. Like from that's what, and my parents love that music. And when I grew up playing piano, my dad would always be like, play a little quieter. Like they really love, soft. frequencies. And so that was a part of it as well. But I just also was hearing a lot of like ECM, Kenny Wheeler, like those recordings, Norma Winston, like I really love the spaciousness that exists in those and how dreamy they sound. And to be honest, I really wanted this to feel like I wrote on my Bandcamp page, like that there's a dream quality. So you can kind of close your eyes when you listen to it or be on a walk and it kind of just transports you to wherever you need to go. That's why, like in A Foggy Day in London Town, we do the verse, and then after the verse, there's like a minute of improv, and we're just kind of living in this. And it's, for lack of a better description, we're like, it's foggy, it's murky, you're not sure what's going to happen, and then suddenly, then it opens up. I really am inspired by film, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. Like as a musician, film is, I would say, more inspiring to me than music a lot of the time. And I really think of things visually and think of things as for myself. I don't even, well, sometimes I say this to the players, but it's like, it's a close up here, then it's a wide shot, and then it's suddenly, or then like the plane takes off, or, for me, visuals really help with my imagination. Um, so yeah.
I just had a thought. I remember, I've done this show for 15 years, and I remember at one point last year, maybe it was a year before, the Kansas City Jazz Orchestra invited me to one of the rehearsals, and to watch it behind the scenes was fascinating. Pencils on all these treble clefs and all this stuff and everything. And I think about film, how cool it would be for just a regular person to watch an actual pit follow the screen, right? To follow the action, to create it in real time or to refine it in real time. It would give you more, because I think about that, because we do think in TV and film. A lot of composers make money because they're doing it, but they also get the exposure, but it's a different pace. It's like it's art literally moving in front of your eyes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I love that you talked about rehearsals because to me, the rehearsal process, I'm really trying to find a space right now in my performance practice where the rehearsal and the performance is pretty murky. It's like I want, I love rehearsing, basically is what I'm trying to say. I love rehearsing. We can ask questions, we can change something, we can try something that might not work at all, but try it. And trying something that doesn't work might lead to something else that you didn't even know? So, and I've kind of learned that through teaching because I'm not doing this year, but I have a course at the University of Toronto with actually classical students, and we do all non-classical music, jazz, music theater, and kind of pop stuff. And I love I love the process of working on a song with a singer,
Yeah.
where it's kind of, again, about the imagination. It's about, even if a song is sad, for example, it's like, cool, can you just sing this with joy once?
Yeah.
And they do it. It's like weird, but then, oh, there's one little moment that, okay, that's a seed of an idea. Let's start there and not sing the whole thing sad? So teaching, yeah, has taught me about the process and I think made me a much better singer myself and performer. Um,
So take me back to your beginnings. Was it always music?
yeah,
Was Yeah.
yeah, there was just, and I didn't grow up in a household where my parents were pushing me to do it. It was like there's no photos or videos of me singing or playing piano from my parents through my whole life. But the universe was just like, no, keep doing that. I didn't even go to an arts high school. I went to a high school in Toronto, a great school called Humberside. But it wasn't like the arts or music school of the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. And I've been lucky. I had great educators along the way. So people who really taught me about, patience and being inclusive. And that's something else that I think I've sort of feel lucky to have understood at a young age. Like it's not about me, you know? It's always about everyone else. And even if it is about me, I can think that it's about everyone else. And that is really helpful for the ego, for your ears, for playfulness, and for an audience, because an audience is looking to be given direction sometimes, I think, not all the time. I mean, just let people do their thing, but it's like yes, I'm a singer with a big band, but whoa, the trumpets are going to sing this line. So I'm gonna look over there, and then everyone's hopefully gonna look at the trumpets,
Totally.
and like I'm really interested in the craft of those of yeah of performance and but yeah, it's always been I just have never been able to not do music.
It's interesting how you talk about orchestrating that on stage because the great Marilyn May came to Kansas City in December. Oh my God.
I've seen her many times.
Man,
My
that's
friends went to see her on New Year's Eve in New York this year because I told them she was at 54 Below. They saw her.
yes.
I'm
Yeah,
so glad, man. She's. I
yeah.
just watched a video of her last night. I literally just watched a video of her last night.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know, and coming away from that, she's 97, she's kicking up, she's got the sequins, you know, Ted's playing in between songs. There's this pageantry. There's this world that's going to leave us. And hopefully people grab on and resuscitate, but then energy like after the show, there was a massive line. She had energy that was
oh
off the charts. It's just something you don't see anymore. It's
no, no,
amazing.
and she swings
Oh,
and phrasing and like so that's yeah. She really walks that fine line because there
yeah,
are some people that I can't tolerate that are like doing that, performing too much for me. And I'm just like, no, no, no. Like you're playing a jazz singer. Like be
yeah,
you.
yeah,
But that is Marilyn. She's always been like that.
100%.
And I've always wanted to work with her because she does coachings with people, and I've never been able to find the right time or but man, I'm so glad you brought her up. She's
Yeah,
really one of the
dynamic.
yeah,
Oh,
dynamic and yeah, I think and she also did stage stuff. She was in Hello Dolly years ago and she's done shows.
yeah,
And I also, as a performer, I am involved in a lot of musicals in Toronto, like a lot of, things that friends are making, and it's kind of community driven. But I love doing new new pieces with people. I work a lot with composers, and they'll write music for me, and sometimes there's a performative aspect to the show where it's, there's a yeah, it's like a piece,
yeah.
some kind of opera or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's really important to me. I look for that when I'm going to a show. I want an experience, and sometimes that is just watching people play their heads off at a club and that's great.
Yeah.
But I definitely am getting more interested in yeah, carving out a really specific type of performance.
So, do you remember the first live show that blew you away, whether it was jazz or otherwise, that really subconsciously or consciously got lodged into the way that you approach the stage?
Wow. I mean, live shows. I remember I saw Trudy Desmond, who was a jazz singer.
Yeah,
She passed away really young, but I saw her at the Toronto Jazz Fest with my dad in the 90s, and that was amazing. It was in a big tent, and it was like a Gershwin show, and I knew all the songs too. As a kid, like my mom had a record of the Verve complete Verve recordings of like vocalists like Sarah Vaughan,
yeah,
Helen Merrill, Dinah Washington, Blossom Dearie, and I grew up with that age 10, like and it's 4 discs with like a great, insert and
totally.
it's just like and I knew all the songs and I
Uh-huh.
would harmonize and I would like Sarah Vaughan would sing the beginning of that swell and then I would sing over the piano solo. And then or I'd, fill in like so anyway, but that kind of stuff really I remember affected me. But Trudy Desmond I think was one of the first ones. Also like recordings of Judy, video recordings I had, Frank Sinatra, and then young Barbara Streisand.
Yeah,
She actually released the full record recently. It's called Live at the Bonsoir. I don't know if you've heard that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the greatest singing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
19-year-old Barbara with a jazz trio, with a
yeah.
trio. Cry Me a River starts just with bass and voice. You kidding me? Her phrasing, that really, and Cry Me a River, that track was on a CD my mom had when I was a kid. So I remember like, there's all the produced stuff, and then suddenly this track came on where it's just voice and bass, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then another song of hers called Nobody's Heart with it's just pure and piano. And that kind of intimate. So I never thought of it, but that actually has a direct link to the Judy thing. Like it's that intimate. I also really only want to make eventually when I do a jazz record again, I want to do live records
Yeah.
because like the audience with Betty Carter, that's my ultimate favorite record. Sarah Vaughan at the Tivoli, jazz. plus an audience, I think recording that, you feel the magnetism. Even Judy Garland at Carnegie Hall, that one also as a kid. The energy of those records, that's my favorite stuff. So all of that, yeah, has really influenced me since I was a kid. Live recordings.
It makes me think about Sonny Rollins because he always wanted to do it live. And the irony is, there's so many iconic albums that he made in the studio. But if he had his druthers, that live element, that true improv, and I get it,
Oh, I
took me
didn't
a
know
little
that.
bit. Yeah, like that was like
Cool.
he had a list of it was called the Road Shows Volume 1 through 4, and it was all of his stuff in front of audiences. And that was
Mm.
like a huge deal for him, to have that level of live, but he always wanted to do it. It was kind of that idea of him going to the Brooklyn Bridge for I think a year or so and playing. He had a relative that lives out in San Francisco. It was a nephew, and at one point after the first tower, I believe, before the first tower fell in New York, he was over there playing his horn, or maybe it was after it happened. But anyways, he was over there trying to give relief, and he was playing it. And some reporter went up and said, "Hey, sir, what's your name?" Didn't know who he was. But that's Sonny, though. He was out during one of the most calamitous times, playing his horn to give people comfort.
Well, this is where we started. It's like, you know, you have to be a member of your community.
Yeah,
That's just like, I mean, and ultimately every great artist really is like they're just doing their thing, and if they're well respected on a large scale, that's that. But ultimately, yeah, like just, you got to plug into where you are. And I'm really loving touring these days with Glenn, but I love cycling to a gig. As a singer, I just have my mic in my bag, or not even a lot of the time, and I love riding my bike to shows and riding home. That's like my favorite situation. So,
so what gets you up every day? Why do you love this music? Why do you love being a musician and being in this jazz community?
well, I mean, it's funny you say jazz community. I'm not so much in the jazz community these days in Toronto, but I am coming back to it in a way. There's a great jazz community here, as you know,
Yeah.
probably better than a lot of people. You're so supportive and amazing in your work, but um, I'm focusing more these days on creating my own work and kind of, yeah, larger scale orchestral, like working with composers, as I mentioned before. So, but someone I am working with these days who I love and who I play with a lot is Allison Au, who you probably know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Todd Pentney and
Uh,
Fabio uh, Ranielli, who I was just with in Winnipeg at the University of Manitoba. He had me come with Terry Davidson, and we taught for a couple of days and worked with the students. We have a group with John Maharaj, or I sing with Ali's group basically. We've been doing more shows together, and that's like I'm realizing how deeply I love Ali and her openness and her desire for collaboration. And I'm a pretty intense collaborator. Like when I'm in the room, when I'm in a rehearsal, I'm gonna offer ideas and be very vocal. And some people don't want that, or some people don't structure their rehearsal so there's enough time for that. I should say that.
yeah.
When things are more disorganized and not, you know, like it's a little up in the air, I can't be at my best and I can't collaborate. But with Ali, she's like, okay, everyone, we're starting. And she's really sweet, but it's like, we're starting. And there's all this time to, and also with her, the project we have, there's a string quartet. And I love working with, as I said, like larger groups. And so there's so many things to try. And she's really open to, yeah, trying her music in many different ways. So we're doing or last summer we did the Migrations album. I took over for Lila Bialy because she couldn't do the gigs, and it was just the best. But that's in jazz terms, that's my community right now with jazz stuff, and I'm so grateful. I love playing with her, and I need variety. So I've always loved variety. It's not like a business tactic for me. It's just I couldn't survive if I had to do jazz gigs every week.
Yep.
That's not interesting to me. Um, I need it to be, you know, what's happening next week? Oh, this is leading. Oh, I'm doing this musical. Oh, I'm music directing suddenly. Oh, I'm working with a choir. I'm going to teach at Laurier on Wednesday, a vocal improv class for educators. Like I need it to be a varied palette for my whole body.
Totally get it.
But that gets me up because it's like, okay, I have to do my own body work to feel settled today. I have to remember how to connect to my breath. And I get nervous. I still get nervous for every show I do. Doesn't matter. I mean, not like, some things, but
Yeah,
most shows I'll get nervous and I have to figure out how to make it work and get the instrument, ready. And again, that's why I love teaching because this isn't, some people I think are such great artists that it's just like they just do what they do. I've had to kind of figure out these systems for myself, and I think I have a lot to share with young artists, and I also think they have a lot to share with me, and yeah, hope to help.
absolutely.
But yeah,
So let's get to the essence of you. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone on the bandstand. But
Joe,
you
this is like therapy. This is
the
the
therapy.
therapy session.
This is the therapy session. But you run the
I'm gonna
show.
turn it around on you
That's
later.
right. Do it. So what's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you
Who
are?
do you think
Um,
you are?
yeah. Can you ask it with some? No. Really simply, I think I'm a singer,
Mhm.
and I think I am an appreciator of talent, and I'm a friend. I really love being a friend to people. And I think these days, actually, my favorite thing is to be in the context where I'm working with my friends, or if I'm working with someone, can we open up a real connection? And obviously, that sometimes might just last for the week that we're working together or the 2 days. But when I was in Winnipeg 2 weeks ago, working with all these students at the University of Manitoba, they were amazing. They were so genuine and they had real questions to ask, and it was easy to open up and share. So I think I'm a singer.
So Meets Judy Garland is fetched a Juno nomination. How does it feel?
It feels great. It's such a personal project, and I was on tour when the applications were being like they were announced applications, and a few people texted me being like, "You should really apply," and I was kind of like, whatever, Junos. And then I was just in the back of a van for 6 hours driving through the like Scotland, and I was like, okay, you know what? I have the time. I'm gonna do it. My partner, I put as my agent, my best friend is my publicist, my other friend's my manager. I had to like kind of flub some things, but yeah, it's really cool. And I love all the other singers and artists in the category.
Yeah.
Laura Anglade and Katie Gregory and Ale Nunez and Norma Winston.
Yeah.
Like we're all nominated alongside Norma, one of the greats. That's a huge honor.
Oh yeah.
And they're all, honestly, I really, truly respect all those singers and I love their records. I've listened to them. I started a little text thread in Instagram with all of us to like connect. And I think I'm really into radically supporting my friends and my community. And so the Junos feels like a corporate version of supporting each other, but it is really nice to be nominated. And, my parents are really happy, and that's nice.
That's it. That's what it's all about. Validation. So the new album is out on all streaming platforms. It's on Bandcamp. If anybody wants to catch you live, any of the other good business in your world, where can they go to find out?
Instagram.
Okay.
I don't have a website, but yeah, I'm playing at the Transac with the Titilators, which is one of the great bands. You would love the Titilators. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah.
Ron Driver's kind of brainchild. And then, going on tour with Glenn in April, and we'll be touring a lot the next 6 months.
I love it. What a joy, Alex. Great to meet you, man. Thank you so much.
You
This has been
too,
great.
Joe. Thank you.
Wonderful. You bet.
Neon Jazz.